Om Sadashivasamarambham Vyasashankarammadhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam
नमामि
Namami.
भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
We just started the Vedic mantra invoking Lord Ganesha, right? Before we start, there was one doubt somebody had raised. Who should be called Prathamaja? Prathamaja means firstborn, one who is born first. Should it be Hiranyagarbha or should it be Lord Brahmaji? Who should be called Prathamaja? Would somebody like to address that? You're on mute, Rakeshji. Put unmute.
Hiranyagarbha is there. Brahmaji with the kalp changes, but Hiranyagarbha doesn't change. That is what my understanding is.
Okay. Anybody else?
Prathama Ja, that Ja means born. So
Yes.
Ishvara is not born. So that is only Brahmaji, Brahma that we associate as a creator, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Maybe that Brahma we can call as Prathama Ja, but Hiranyagarbha is like Ishvara itself. So that is unborn.
Okay.
Hiranyagarbha being Samishti Sukshma Shariras, it is not Vyaktam, so it cannot be Ja. Ja is, like Jayaji said, Ja is born. So anything which is born has to have come with the Sharira and all the gunas. So Prathama Ja, if you take Ja as a real birth, then Brahmaji will be the Prathama Ja. Otherwise, there is no Ja at all for the samsara.
But Sukshma Shariras are also born, right? Out of Avyakta Maya. They are also Vyakta.
They are not. They are in Avyakta form, na Divyansh.
No, they are in Vyakta form, but they are
No,
Sukshma. They are not Sthula.
but they are not Avyakta. Avyakta means should be visible, perceivable, touch. All those things have the gunas have to come into picture. If it
Yeah,
has
they
to
are
be
born.
Vyakta.
Yeah,
No,
those are
they are
born
not
of
born.
Gunas, but Sukshma Gunas, not Sthula. Oh.
Anyway.
The thing is, entire creation is as though. Where is creation? Seen from the Paramarthika view, there is no creation, therefore no Prathamaja. However, we have a model that Vedanta gives us so that we can accept this Jagat as something which gets manifest. And it also gives you a whole process. What all of you said is correct. In a physical, tangible form, Brahmaji is what we look up to as firstborn, called Prathamaja. If you look at the model, what comes into being is first the Sukshma form. Even in our Sharira, it is the Sukshma form that comes first. Why our Sharira? Go even a step further. The Pancha Bhutas, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, and Prithvi, first manifest as Sukshma form. Then they go through all processes, Panchikaranam, etc., and then we receive the Sthula form. So, in that model, really speaking, the Sukshma should be the first that should appear. So, while on the one hand, you can say neither is a Prathamaja, on the other hand, you can say both are Prathamaja. Because the Brahmaji is the one that you get, from which you see the whole Jagat coming out. And we know that at the end of the Kalpa, Brahmaji also becomes unmanifest, and the new Kalpa, new Brahmaji comes. I am not sure whether a new Hiranyagarbha also comes, I'm not sure. Probably yes. But while this question might bother us, we don't bother about this question. Whether it is Hiranyagarbha or becomes more nomenclature than anything else when looked at from the Paramarthika view. So what all of you said is right. But one can argue that the literal meaning of the word Prathamaja, it has to be what appears first, and therefore I would say should be Hiranyagarbha. Then mathematically argue, no, it was got for each Kalpa there is a Brahmaji that appears, so that should be Hiranyagarbha, from which the entire Jagat follows. Because till then everything is unmanifest. But I won't let it worry you too much one way or the other. Shall we go to the reading? Sridharji, you had a...
Swamiji.
Yeah, namaste, Swamiji. Swamiji, is, last week you were mentioning that every prayers are routed through devatas. Okay.
Correct.
So that means, is there any hierarchy there? Say Paramacharya says Shiva and Vishnu are one and the same. So if that means, so is there any hierarchy which the whole universe gets operated with?
No, there is no hierarchy. There is Ishvara, Parameshwara, formless Ishvara. It's only that concept itself we have to understand. The retreat we are planning in November will be addressing a lot of that questions. What is Parameshwara? Then you have all these other functional heads, perhaps. There are the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer functional heads. And then there are individual domain experts in the form of various devatas to whom we can approach for specific areas where we want to be addressed. But really, there is no hierarchy. A Shiva Bhakta cannot go to argue saying that, my Bhagavan is bigger than your, because you're a Ganesha Bhakta. There's no such thing at all. Every form of Devata we can approach for specific issues, but the truth is, all the prayers go only to Ishvara, who is the Karma Phala Data, and you get the Phala. So in the same route. Yes, Divyansh.
Swamiji, in like Tattva Bodha or any other Vedanta text, so for the creationism, I think that model is taken from Sankhya Yoga, right? But in that we don't like talk much about Brahmaji and all. We only talk about Sukshma Sharira, that is we call Hiranyagarbha, and Virat, and we go from there only, right? We don't talk about Brahmaji there, right?
True. Okay. Who'll read today?
I can read, Swamiji.
Kavya, okay.
But
Where are we to read from?
I only have this PDF that has been shared in the group.
Page
Where
11,
are we?
second para.
Page 11, first or second para. Yeah.
We were doing this prayer, no? Ganapati
Yeah, page 9, third para, page 9.
No,
9,
11,
No,
second
11,
para.
11 second para.
Should I do the prayer first?
Yeah.
Kavya, read the mantra first, and then
Okay.
wherever you have to read from, we can go there.
Okay. ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन् सीदसादनम्. Shall I?
Which paragraph, which page? Can somebody?
Page 11, second para?
Page 11, second paragraph.
Okay. Gananam tva havamahe. We worship you, Parameshwara, the Lord, the Creator, and Protector of Ganas. All living beings, including the Devas. A Deva, deity, is also one of the manifestations of Ishvara. You being the Lord, Havamahe, we worship you for a pure mind. It is a mumukshu's prayer. You seek the Lord's grace to accomplish various goals in life. A human being, though intelligent, many a time becomes helpless. Intelligent living is seeking help when you need it, and here you offer a prayer to ask for help. Ganapati is Kavinam Kavihi. Kavihi means the one who knows the past, present, and future. A good astrologer is also called Kavi, as even a poet. Ganapati is the Kavi of all Kavis. All the Kavis need the grace of this Kavi, even to be a relative Kavi. He is all knowledge. Ganapati being Parameshwara, there is no simile for him. In other words, Parameshwara is like Parameshwara. Valmiki said, Rama Ravana Yor Yuddham. Rama Ravana Yoriva. The battle between Rama and Ravana was like the battle between Rama and Ravana. So the mantra says Upamashravastamam. What is Upama? Upamiyate Anya iti Upama. That by which something is approximated. Many Upamas are given in the Shruti, such as space to point out the all pervasiveness of the Lord and sun to point out the effulgence of the Lord. The sun example is also for one being many. There is one sun, but reflections are many. One comes to know that in spite of all the varieties of upamas that the Shruti gives, the Lord stands far beyond them, His glory being infinite. He is Upamashravastama, the one who is praised in various upamas, and yet there is no one equal to Him. He stands apart and cannot be compared with anything, which is why the Lord cannot be flattered. Anything one says will fall short of His glory. For the same reason, the Lord can be understood in His transcendental nature as one who is free from all attributes, and everything else is only His manifestation. Thus, appreciating Parameshwara, Havamahe, we worship. Jyeshtha Rajam.
This one appearing as many, have you seen in the temples, they have a round thing with a lot of mirrors stuck on that in 2 or 3 rows. And in between the center, there'll be a lamp. So what happens is you see a lot. What does it represent? That also represents the same thing, that the one is reflected as many. So usually you will find this behind the deity in the temples. We also have one incidentally.
That's called Prabha, no, Swamiji?
No, Prabha is the one that is behind in the form of an arch behind the. That
This is
Prabha.
Pinvilakku. Pinvilakku.
It's called?
பின்விளக்கு சுவாமியோட பேக் சைடுல இருக்கும் பேக் விளக்கு.
So this is only again, idea is that you recognize that there's only one Ishvara and reflect it as manifestation in many forms, many ways. That's why the sun example Swami is given. Sun is often taken to be the effulgence of God. This upama is also important because we cannot give any upama for anything which is paramarthika. Any upama we give, any example we give has to be from within the samsara, which is transactional in nature. Therefore, the upama can, as it is, upama can only be a close approximation. In fact, typically upama, what happens is it typifies one particular quality. But other things are different between the example and what is being exemplified. Otherwise, they'll be the same, no? So even under our own normal, within the Jagat, we have this problem. You want to explain something to somebody who has not seen that before. If your great-grandmother were to appear today, suddenly, forget it, there was one fellow who was in the forests, I think in Indonesia or someplace, Japanese fellow, who was there for 37 years after the war ended. He didn't know. Nobody told him. He was actually there. The written report is available. After so much time, he's come here, and then somebody tells him, why don't you use a cell phone? He doesn't know what you're talking about. So you have to give an example. Tell him what is it like. What is a cell phone? You tell him by an example of something he already knows. Like that, in any example, you take something which you know. I like to use the example of the hockey puck. Many people don't know what a puck is. So how do you explain what a puck is to somebody? By its shape, by its size, by the way it is used. It is like a hockey ball, but only it's not round, it is flat. That's how we will explain to him, no? With an upama. So all upamas are for anything which is paramarthika is not really possible. Therefore, this word here, upamasravastam, vastamam, one that does not have an upama. How can it have an upama? It's a completely different order of reality. That is why it is like. There is a footnote here on the upama. Do you want to read that also?
Can't find it, Swamiji. Oh yes, found it.
At the bottom, yeah.
Upamiyate anena iti upamiyate anena iti upamanam. Teihi आकाशाद्युपमानैः श्रोत्रनं चेतसि समुत्पन्नं श्रवाः कीर्तिः यस्य सः ततोक्तः उपमश्रवः अतिशयेन उपमश्रवः
Pravati upama shavastamah tam.
By
which simile
an object is illustrated is upamanan, example. With such examples as space and so on, the knowledge of whose glory is born in the minds of the listener is upamashravah, and the one whose glory is beyond comparison. In other words, the one who is the most glorious is upamashravastah, tam equals to him.
Because it becomes a second case. Why do they show Akasha, space, as a upama? What is it upama for?
All pervasiveness.
Huh?
All pervasiveness.
All pervasiveness. We can understand saying that you just use the word Ishvara is all pervasive, it may not register. But if you use a upama, like Akashavat, that we can understand because that we experience. There's a limitation there also, but we are not going to it just now. That's why it is used as an example. With such examples as space, etc. Yeah, let's continue.
We had upama for
Sorry?
we had upama for Parameshwara, right? Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan.
That's not upama. That is talking about the lack of inequality.
Yeah,
You can't have an example of upama of anything we know, which is the smallest of small and biggest of big. We don't know.
boy, that is contradictory, right?
That is the nature of Ishvara, Swarupa of Ishvara being shown, not by an upama. Upama will mean another object which some qualities are matching. Here, when you say, all the negations for Bhagavan, not this, not this, not this. And it is also the smallest, also the biggest. Our mind will be difficult to understand that because there's no example we can give for that. Yeah.
Jeshtarajam. The one who always shines in the hearts of the devotees is Raja. He also shines in the hearts of even those who are not devotees, but is not recognized by them. One who is to be counted and reckoned in society is Jeshtha. Na Shravan, Shav, Na Shanvan,
Shrinvan.
Na
Shrinvan.
Shrunvan, Utibhis
Utibihi.
Sadhanam,
Utibihi.
Utibhi Sadhanam,
Sadhanam. Asida.
Asida. Listening to our praises with all protective means, please sit at the altar of fire ritual. Sadhanam in our heart. We, your devotees, are praising you, revealing who you are, and these words of prayer merely state your virtues. The more words you have of Bhagavan, fewer are the things which are outside Bhagavan. You see Ananta, limitless totality, as well as severally. All individual objects are also
You see, Ananta is totally as well as severally. It is total and several. And that's one of the example, the word that Divyansh was using. It is severally and yet it's totally.
All individual objects are also Parameshwara, and you can see this up to the quantum level. Any ray of glory is Ishvara. The less of you, the more you get in life. By our own individual presence, we deny the whole. Listening to all these prayers, may you abide in our heart and protect us. Om Namo.
We now start the actual Rudra. And we start with the first sentence of the Rudra. As we read in the thing earlier, in many of these Rudra Anuvakas, there is a Rishi who's seen who will first write a mantra and then we read that. Yes, Sundarji.
Namaskar, Swami. I just have a small doubt, Swami. This is with respect to demigods, Swami. Like in mythology and all, we have demigods, Swami. Like Kshetra Palakas, like in Greek parlance, we have this Hercules, Achilles, and all.
Yes.
So actually, where do they stand? And of course, even our saints like Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi and all, are they gods or are they semigods? Swamiji?
Oh, interesting. In every loka, there are denizens in the loka. So if you go to, you know the 7 lokas of Buhu, Bhava, Suha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, etc. Those are the lokas. In the lokas, there are certain denizens and they have a form, their own form we don't know about. You will not find forms like yours and mine in those lokas. That's very clear. In that loka, in each of the loka also there are what somebody was asking just now, the Sridharji was asking, there are hierarchies. In Indraloka, Indra is the king. And then there are, like I said, Dwarapalakas, Yaksha and Yakshi and so on. So those are within that loka itself. But anybody who is in that loka, any devata is like us only, except that they have a little bit more elevated status. That's all the difference. So within that, there are gradations there also.
Swamiji, in our families and all typical Hindu families, they give a lot of emphasis on this worshipping Kuladevatas. I mean, why is that so? I mean, we are not.
In our culture, we clearly find it very difficult to relate to Ishvara, which is formless. That's why to understand the idea and concept of Ishvara itself takes a lot of effort. But what is easier to understand? Either I reach out to a Ishta Devata. I take any one Ishta Devata. There are Puranas for that. There are stories of their childhood, how they grew and what they did, what all the great deeds they performed and so on. We have these, so we can identify with that. An easier thing than that also is your own Kula Devata, where, ancestrally you keep following that Devata. So what happens? Your great-great-grandfather also was following the same Devata. You also continue to follow the same Devata. It is in the Kula that remains. Similarly, we have Grama Devata. Whichever Grama we come from, typically there will be one temple which is the Grama Devata. Many people go back to their original place to go visit the Grama Devata. We also have Sthala Devata. Where we are in Coimbatore, for example, Sthala Devata is Murugan. In Mardamalai temple. Sthala Devata is Murugan. So all these are meant to help us relate to Ishvara through a form. That's all there is to it. Yeah. So the first Anuvaka, sorry, before that, Divyansh?
Swamiji, I think I heard somewhere that benefit in Sanatana Dharma is that we are able to relate with our gods, right? In the Abrahamic, there is that relation is not as such.
Correct. It's not possible for them, correct.
And I think there is one quote from Swami Vivekananda, right? The goal is to divinize ourselves and humanize our relation with Ishvara. So we humanize the form with Ishvara.
You humanize the form so you can relate to Ishvara. Since I cannot relate to a formless Ishvara, I accept Ishvara with a form, but any Ishvara I accept is all power, all knowledge.
All forms are his forms. So
all of them are like that. They're all manifestation of Ishvara only. We accept a manifestation because it's easier for me to relate to that form. And therefore, it is so much easier for me to approach that Devata and ask for what I want. Otherwise, in the air, I have to ask. I don't know who to ask. I know, like Abrahamic religions also, they say they pray to Allah, they pray to Christ, or whatever they pray to. But we are able to relate one-on-one with the chosen Ishvara. And you have a variety of Ishvara from which you can choose. It becomes so much easier. But ultimately, we also recognize one formless Ishvara. In the first class, remember, I told you that there are technical terms for these. People who have only one Ishvara, Christ or Allah or whatever, they're called monotheists, where the single mono and God. They think we are polytheists, which means we have any number of gods. Now that has a lot of advantage. To us, a Sanatana Dharmi, anybody is a Sanatana Dharmi. No, I will only pray to Allah. Okay, you're still a Sanatani Dharmi. As long as you live your life of dharma. But you pray. Who you pray to is your choice. I don't pray to anybody. Okay, then also you're Sanatana Dharmi only. So we are very inclusive in the way we look at these things. Whereas many other religions will not allow that. And therefore become very sort of exclusive, secluded type of this thing. And therefore they get into all kinds of trouble with people saying, you can't follow that God, you can only follow my God. Source of a lot of problems. So we start with the first Anuvaka, the first mantra is Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Beautiful mantra. You can use it for a japa also. Yeah, can we read?
Swamiji, what is the meaning of Anuvaka?
Anuvaka is like a chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Om Namaha, salutation, Bhagavate, unto the Lord, Rudraya, unto Rudra. Salutation.
Probably simply Om is Om, but I can do maybe 20 classes on Om only. Om includes everything, it's all inclusive. But we'll understand that, we'll do that later.
Salutation unto Lord Rudra. The word Rudra means Rodayati Sarvan, the one who makes all cry. The root is Rudir Ashru Vimochane, in the sense of shedding tears. Another meaning is Rutam Dravayati. Dravayati. The one who melts away pain or the cause of pain. The word Om is from the root Ava, which has the sense of protection. Avati Rakshati iti Om. The one who protects and sustains everything is Om, name of the Lord. The Lord is remembered at the beginning of the Veda and also at the beginning of its every section. Om also stands for an auspicious beginning. The word Namaha means salutation. Bhagavate.
You can read the footnote also.
The root of Namaha is Nam, in the sense of prahavi
Vibhava.
pravibha
Vibhava.
prahavibhava. What is correct?
Vibhava.
Prahavibhava. Bowing down. Nam plus as asun. Namas namaha.
Just that the explanation is not really relevant for everybody, but we know a little bit of Sanskritam. How the Nam becomes Om Namo. Nam becomes Namas, Namas becomes Namaha, Namaha in Sandhi becomes Namo.
Bhagavate, it is the dative singular form of the word Bhagavan, derived from the noun Bhaga, Bhagaha, Asya Asti iti Bhagavan. The one who has Bhaga is Bhagavan. There are many other similar and more familiar words such as Dhanavan, the one who has wealth, Balavan, the one who has strength, Gunavan, the one who has virtues. What then is Bhaga? It consists of 6 absolute virtues. Aishvaryasya, Samagrasya, Virasya, Yashaha, Yashasaha, Shriyaha, प्रियः ज्ञानवैराग्यायो चैव सन्नाम भग इति
Sannam is actually Shannam Shat Nama. 6 names. The Shat becomes Sun in Sanjay again, Sannama. Shannama. The word Shanmugam, literally what does it mean? Shadmukham. Because Lord Murugan has 6 faces. Therefore, Shanmugam. But Shad becomes Sun when followed by Makara.
The six virtues: overlordship, power, fame, riches, knowledge, and freedom from being wanting, in their absolute measure constitute Bhaga. The one who has this sixfold Bhaga is Bhagavan. Every individual has the experience of Aishwarya, overlordship with reference to children and smaller creatures. For instance, you have overlordship over an ant, but not when it has entered your ears. A cat has lordship over a rat. So, overlordship is not totally unknown to you. You therefore appreciate Ishvara as the Lord with total overlordship.
See, some of the word Bhagavan, Swamiji has shown us here, Dhanavan, Balavan. Dhanavan is one who has Dhanam. Balavan is one who has Balam, strength. Now, Dhanavan, everybody has some Dhanam for sure. So how do you call somebody Dhanavan? Or everybody has some Balam, some strength everybody has. How do you call somebody Balavan? One who has that quality in higher quantity, higher level than most other people. Therefore, Dhanavan. He is a Dhanavan. He is a moneyed man. He is a rich man. Dhanavan. Balavan. He is a very strong person. Much stronger than the other people. Yes, Divyansh. Divyansh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Swamiji, it says that Bhagavan has these virtues in absolute terms, right? So, can we say it is samashti?
No, not just samashti. It is totality.
That is
Totality.
samashti, right?
No, samashti you would say that all the strength that everybody has, total of that is samashti strength.
Right.
Here it is infinite, unlimited strength, unlimited virium, etc. Yeah.
Shall I continue, Swamiji? Virium, power. One has, in a limited measure, the strength to create, sustain, bless, chastise, and destroy within the framework of this world, Jagat. To create and sustain the very framework and everything therein, the Viryam that is needed is Samagra, limitless. Yashas, fame. Fame can be an object of desire for its own sake, even though it is used for gaining power, wealth, and so on. One may be ready to give up power and wealth to win recognition. In the awareness of being recognized, there is an extended sense of oneself that is a bit of Ishvara. Bhagwan, Bhagwan's fame is non-local and is the cause of the local fame of an individual, which can be wisdom, wit, or a winning smile. All these are but the vibhuti of Ishvara. On inquiry, one can see that the possibilities to gain, to improve are all given, and the given is not separate from the giver here. Shri, wealth.
To extend what Divyansh was asking, see, each of these powers we have something of. All the bhaga we all have. And our attempt generally is to increase our bhaga in different areas. All the 6 areas we try to improve. All the time we try to improve. The fundamental drive is that you want to reach the status of Bhagavan. You want to see it means what? That each of these bhaga I want in limitlessness. Unfortunately, and this is what we learn by studying Shastra, that as long as I have this notion that I am this body, mind, sense complex, however much I increase, I will never become infinite. Because this body, mind, sense complex can go on increasing, but can never reach Purnatva. For that, a fundamental shift has to take place in the understanding of I. Therefore, this bhaga that we have, therefore, amongst humans, you will find there are differences. Some people have much more virium than some other people. Some people have more yashas than some other people. And one can work towards gaining each of these bhaga, which is okay, which is within the Jagat, we all try to do that. But to really understand that the drive for this bhaga is that I want to understand I am Ishvara. And you cannot do that as long as one identifies with the body, mind, sense complex. Yeah.
Shri, wealth. Wealth includes time, skill, courage, health, money, marriage, home, and children. In fact, anything that makes you comfortable and happy is wealth. Success is also wealth. All the resources on this earth, such as oxygen, water, and energy, would then be wealth. If all these are wealth, whatever one claims as one's wealth is included in the limitless wealth of the Lord. The Lord being both the maker and the made. Jnana, knowledge. Knowledge is also samagra, total for Ishvara. As a human being, one certainly knows the difference between being knowledgeable and ignorant. But in spite of one's desire to be more and more knowledgeable, one remains, after all, ignorant. If there is a person who is free from ignorance, the knowledge of the person has got to be total and must exist without being gained in time. Vairagya, freedom from a sense of want, the cause for desire to be complete, the attitude of an adult towards the playthings of a child like marbles, balloons, and so on, is Vairagya. In this disposition, there is neither a longing for nor an aversion to any of those objects. Everyone knows such a condition of the mind where there is freedom with reference to certain objects. But the same condition cannot be commanded towards certain other objects. If that attitude covers every object known and unknown, then Vairagya is Samagra, complete. This is the sixth absolute.
Some of you might have seen this, because in the class I've shown this. You know what this is? This is a small tin boat constructed where you put a piece of camphor and this and some water into these two pipes here. And what happens is that steam comes out and it goes chug, 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 chug. It actually goes and you put it in a tub of water and goes like this. When I was a child, my parents took me to Hanuman temple in Delhi. And on Tuesdays, when Hanuman thing is very famous, there's a huge market there, shopping. And as we were walking back from the temple, one fellow was displaying this in the tub, going round and round. I was fascinated. And I asked my parents, I want this. They bargained with him and he wouldn't come down. So they didn't buy it. I was so devastated. For several days after that, I was quite devastated. That was my attitude at that time. What do you think my attitude towards this is now? What is my attitude towards this now? No longing, no coveting. And I don't also hate it. It's fine. In fact, I bought one. We had a little fun with a lot of students here in the our ashram. Everybody put it this, and that's a little fun. That is Vairagya. So that Swamiji says, the sentence we just read. Freedom in the sense of want. I want. I had that sense when, for several days after we did not buy this. Do I have the same sense now? Obviously, I don't. Because the sense comes from, I think if I get this, I will be happy. I will be complete. I will not have any more wants. Those are the kind of things we have. But later, there is neither longing nor an aversion to any of these objects. Now imagine the same thing extended to all those things that in adulthood we long for. Wealth, security, fulfilling certain karmas, all that we all have. But when we recognize that those are really not of any real value, like this one is of no value to me today, like the toys you played with when you were a child have no value for you today, but you still might like to fool around with them. but it has no value for you today. Why? Because you're now looking for something much, much bigger. And when you start looking for moksha, which is purnatvam, then all these become, relatively speaking, valueless, including riches, relationships, whatever you want. Because you're comparing it to purnatvam. Divyansh, you had some point to make?
Swamiji, I have one question. So in this jnana part, right? Can you explain the last line? If there is a person who is free from ignorance, the knowledge of the person has got to be total and must exist without being gained in time. Like, why is
Okay,
it
good.
this?
Would somebody please give me a little input on this? The last sentence.
Because the knowledge gained in time is going to be lost in time. So that is what he means by knowledge without being gained in time, is that it is always complete knowledge that I am Ishvara. That knowledge will be complete. I mean, it's not going to be lost today, tomorrow, or in future. It is not going to be lost. That
No,
samagram.
no, wait. I think like it is talking about not the
Avidya.
no. Like, sorry, not the general knowledge, but the specific knowledge. What is that? Sarvavit, right? So let's say if after 2 years, right, I become some kind of encyclopedia, right? I gain all the knowledge of all the world, right?
I think Divyansh,
Until my
we had this discussion in the other class also. Again, you're bringing up the same question here.
No,
Tam
but I
no,
think
Sarvavit
the point
Sarvagna.
that he's trying to make is this has got to be total and must exist without being gained in time. Any knowledge you gain in time has two distractions. One, if you gain in time, you can lose in time. That's what Ratnamji
I
mentioned here.
can, but I might not.
You may not, but you can.
You will lose in time.
Eventually,
Once
you
you
will
die,
lose.
the knowledge is gone.
And the second problem with that is it can never be complete. No scientist in any field, in fact, the more a scientist learns about his or her own field, will never say, I know everything. I know a lot, he might say. Because you cannot make such a statement. There is only one knowledge. We have been calling it what? Nyapti. Which when you know, it is as though you may not know Swahili because you become, but that's not the point he's making. There's no need to do anything, know anything else. They're all mithya. The knowledge that you get is purnatvam. At that time, it is not gained in time. The beauty is that knowledge is already you. That knowledge is not something you're going to gain. Then why am I studying all this? I'm only trying to remove my ignorance. I'm already there. I am that knowledge. I am that nyapti. But it is my own understanding of that is covered by ignorance. And what I'm trying to do is to remove that ignorance. So when Swamiji says the knowledge has to be complete, total, and must exist without being gained in time, because it's already there. It is purnatvam. Purnatvam you cannot gain. You can get more knowledge of any specific subject. But purnatvam you can never gain. Mathematically, the best you can say is you are tending to infinity in a particular subject. But you never tend actually. There also what happens, the scientists will recognize there's so much more to learn which I don't know yet. Yes, Shwetakshmini. You have to unmute. You have to unmute, ma'am. You're still on mute. I would like others also to participate and respond to these kind of questions, not only restricted to the questioner and to Jaya ji or to Ratnam ji, others also. I know you're all now know a lot. So with your understanding, you can also talk about whatever issues are being raised. Yes, Siddharth.
Swamiji, namaskaram. I just wanted to tell you, I don't remember where I have gone through. What we know, like what human know is only 2%. And what I do not know, I don't know is 3%. And the remaining 97%, I don't know, that I do
I
not
don't even know that I don't know.
Yeah.
That very good, interesting thing. 2%, 3% not the important thing. The important thing is
97% is.
today you are gaining something. You specialize in a particular subject. You are, let us say, talking about cell division in the Sharira. You learn more and more and more and more and more. The person who's learned so much, it is 2%, 3%, 97% not the important thing. What he recognizes is, I know so much, but there is so much more to know.
No, 97% is not
like
no.
that.
Yeah.
That he says, I realize I don't know. Very interesting way of putting it. I know 2%, I have another 3%, 1%, I know I don't know. Another 97%, I don't even know that I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Swamiji, maybe we can also say that like a knowledge gained in limited time cannot be unlimited, right? For gaining unlimited knowledge, we must spend unlimited time or something.
It is learnt in time, it will be unlearnt in time. Isn't it? That's what he's saying?
No, I'm saying that if you want to learn unlimited knowledge, you can't learn that in limited time.
In limited time, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. One lifetime is not enough. Several lifetimes is also not enough. Yeah, can you continue, please?
Swamiji?
Yes, Anand.
Am I audible, Swamiji? I think my internet is not very stable. But
yes.
Just a question for everybody to think about and maybe share their. So when we speak about Vairagya, we say that it is kind of being indifferent, the disposition or attitude of being different towards things that I like and things that I don't like. Right. So this in absolute measure is the Samagra or the Vairagya incomplete. But we also say that this entire creation is just the Bhagavan, is the Ishvara. And we have everybody is a devoted person who is a bhakta who has so much love for Bhagavan or Ishvara. So then we have like this attachment to Ishvara also. So if we start looking at things in the Jagat as Ishvara, then how do we develop this Vairagya? Because Vairagya is being indifferent towards something. But if I have love for something, but I look at it as Ishvara, but still I love that and I have attachment towards it, then is it Vairagya or still I don't have Vairagya, and how do I handle this?
There is a difference between love and attachment, right?
Exactly.
If you have attachment, you don't have love.
Yes, there is difference in attachment, but in the common means that we use, so for example, I have love for, like I see something as Ishvara. Let's say I see my body as Ishvara. My body is a temple that I worship. So if something happens to my body, I still feel worried because I still see that as a temple, but there is, let's say there is a confusion between the term attachment and love. So how do we, if we start looking at something as Ishvara, then there is automatically an attachment towards Ishvara. So is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? How do we then get over this attachment to Ishvara?
Swamiji,
Or should we even attempt to do it?
Yes, Kavya.
It's a very interesting question what Anand is saying, because, and I don't agree with Divyansh, because there is love and attachment. They don't go separate, like at least in this life that we all live, because I have love for my pets and my partner and my parents, and there is also attachment. Like there cannot be a relationship without expectations. That unconditional love is only towards like maybe God, I don't know. but from God also we do expect something sometimes. But what I'm saying is that what Anand is asking, how do you see it? Everything is Ishvara and still not, and there is attachment, you quite clearly know, then you don't get affected by it. What I have tried to practice, knowing that attachment cannot go away just like that, is that concept from Bhagavad Gita of Prasada Buddhi, that whatever is and whatever that person I love and or I am attached to, however they react to certain situations which may affect me, I'm still taking it as prasada of Ishvara. And I know there is attachment, but that attachment is, I try to not let that attachment become a cause of my misery, because ultimately attachment is not a, it's a human emotion and not a negative one, unless it becomes your misery. That's what I feel and I'm trying to live by in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can just give a little more insight. Love and attachment, like what Divya said, are different. Similarly, what Kavya said, but in real life, we get confused with both of these. So let us be very clear. Anything that is binding is what we are saying, referring to attachment, right? So we can have two forms of love. Unconditional love, you mentioned, which is not attachment, which is not binding, correct? That is unconditional love. And there is conditional love, which we can also say in normal parlance, that is what we just say love, right? So that love and attachment become same when it is a conditional love, which is what you referred to as with expectations. So if we are clear about these two, this normal love, which we are actually saying it is attachment or binding, that love, how do you define it? Can you define that love? Because if you can define it, then you get the answer, which is different from the unconditional love. So this love which we are referring as attachment, binding, what is that? How do you define that love?
I think that is what we have in our day-to-day life, the love for
It is
No,
pets.
no,
centered on
no,
I.
No,
no.
no, no,
Or
no.
in
You
No,
are
no, no,
relationship.
no.
defining,
It is,
you are
you're
defining
thinking that
love
you're
as
going to be
again love
happy
itself
with.
something.
Love is you're going to be, you know that you're going to be happy with, if that thing is, that is called love. I mean, here
Yes.
in the
But
physical life.
Namji is saying that ultimately that has to somewhere bring you, there's a
Brings you
Happiness.
happiness. You
Bring
have
you
expectation that
happiness.
happiness.
Your
happiness
ultimate
and
intention
security.
is to be happy. To be
Yes.
happy.
Yes.
So
Correct.
there the love factor comes in.
So
Yes.
if you further refine that definition, correct, whatever both of you said. So love, there is a very beautiful definition. Love is actually identification with self. Love is identification with self. So when you identify with yourself, that is why you feel secured, you get a sense of completion, that is why you are happy. So identification with the self is actually love. So strangely, in Sanskrit or Hindi, the word mamata you come. That mamata is love. But mamata, mama, is mine. So it is because I'm identifying with myself, it is mine. The person is mine, the object is mine. That is when I get attached because of that mamata feeling. But the love that we are referring to is unconditional love, doesn't have this quality of identifying. You understand the difference, right? So only with jnana, we begin to understand what this others are, right? So when we say everything is Ishvara, it is not that you are identifying yourself with Ishvara and saying I am Ishvara. No. We are trying to go deeper and understand that the essence of Ishvara, essence of myself, both are same. That is what we learned in Tatvamasi, right? It is not a literal equating that, oh, I am Ishvara or Ishvara is me. No, no, no. So if you have understood that deeper definition, then you will see that unconditional love coming out of you. right? So then you can see everything as Ishvara in an unconditional way. So then there is no attachment. So only when you identify with your individual self, that becomes a binding fact.
But
very interesting. We will continue the discussion in the next class. I only want to point out only one thing. Please be careful in the words you use. Just now, Jayaji, we all do this, inadvertently said, but in real life, it is like this. What is real life? Please think about that carefully. So when you use words, this is one of Swamiji's biggest plus points. He is very careful about the word you use because it should convey what you want to convey and should be received the same way by the listener. So that's one thing. But this question that Anand has asked, I think we can continue to talk a little bit more about this. All of what you said, all right. His question was, if everything is Ishvara and I understand everything is Ishvara, I understand, I emphasize. Therefore, my love for Ishvara, bhakti, is there for everything. Why should I have vairagya? Everything is Ishvara. Therefore, I love everything. I have bhakti for everything. So that was his question. How should I look at it from my perspective? Two levels you can look at. One is at what Jayaji said, at the level of I, the individual, and then next level, where you even question that I. We'll discuss more of this next class. So any thoughts you develop in the meanwhile, please bring it to the class next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om.
Thank you.
Dhanyavad.
Swamiji.
Om Swamiji.